Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. I didn't. Our refrigerator sprung a leak this morning, so. But the maintenance is right on it, so they're working and doing a good job. We've got a full agenda this morning, and our first speaker will be talking about his idea on the Meal of the Day plan. Then that'll be followed by Leslie. And then the dining staff will be up here for a short time for some announcements.
Myself.
And we have Rita has a question too. But wait for Q&A, we'll wait till the end after everybody's had their piece to speak.
Good morning, good morning. It's time to say good morning. Good morning to you. What program does that remind you of? What program does that remind you of? What program does that remind you of? Don McNeil in the Breakfast Club. Don McNeil in the Breakfast Club, okay?
Can't talk to the mic out there.
To all of those to whom I owe money, I'm not telling. To the rest of you, my name is Ed Hanna. My wife and I have been here approximately 3 years, and like you, we've been busy going to the four horsemen of the Apocrypha. Okay? The doctor, the dentist, the hospital, and the pharmacy. Okay? All right? Now I even asked, can I get credit against my monthly bill for the time that I'm away from this beautiful campus and a possible meal I missed? They said, you need to see one more horseman of the apocalypse. I said, which one is that? They said, a psychiatrist. But let me talk about what I want to cover today. It has to do with the one that you're tired of hearing about, but it has to do with the cost of meals. All right? But let's start with the foundation. The cost of meals went from $7.50 to $9, right? Okay, that's the foundation. I'm going to ask you to raise your hands, okay? If every time I ask a question, and you understand, because that lets me know that you're on the agenda with me. So the food cost went from $7.50 to $9, right? Raise your hand. Thank you.
Yep.
You're wrong. It has nothing to do with food cost. Nothing. Okay? Now, what I'm informing you is different from what you thought, or is different, that's fine. If you don't think you've learned anything, I want you to get a refund on your way out, refund of the admission on the way out. Okay? Now, what does the $7.50 to $9 a day mean?
Nothing.
It means
That is not any money. There is no money. You never got any money to spend.
No, you're charged. You're charged. Okay?
That's
All
right.
right. What it represents is two items.
That's right.
Two items. One is called dining, the other one I call supplement. Dining, supplement. Okay? What is a supplement? The amount you can spend where in the tavern, and maybe for the left side of the menu to get that Reuben sandwich, chicken salad sandwich, or a quart of a roast chicken. Okay? So of the three items that we have, one, the $10. That's a fixed fee. Or another for the dining. Okay? The dining went to, how much? $9. And what's the other one for? How much we can spend where? In the tavern. And for the other items. Does it have anything to do with food costs? No. Nothing to do with food costs. All right? Very important. So, where are the food costs? Let's follow this through. And I hope you haven't been inviting this morning. Hope everybody hasn't been doing that, because I need your minds this morning. And I hope getting too close to this mic won't get you to the coronavirus. No, okay. All right. But let's follow this through. All right. The food costs are in the monthly fee that you're paying, the thousands of dollars that you're paying each month. And it's broken down into food service, transportation service, health and home care, maid service, and all the other services that we have is broken down that way. That's where your food cost is. It's in the food services. Food services include more than just food. It includes all the servers, the waiters, everybody else, okay? Now, let's follow this through. Okay. There's one term you need to know. How many of you have an increase each January of the consumer price index? Most of you do. Most of you do.
No,
You don't have an increase each year?
yes, but not in January.
Well, it could be different time of the year. All of those who have an increase each year.
Yeah, they're right. Not in January, but we have an increase.
Okay,
yeah.
you have an increase. That's a
Yeah.
good portion of you, not all. Those of you who don't have an increase, congratulations.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is where the food cost is. And if you just came in here and you're getting an increase each year, what does that increase have to do with? How it affects the food cost. The consumer price index. The consumer price index.
That's right.
How many pay based on the consumer price index plus maybe
Plus.
2%?
2%.
Yeah.
That's right.
A few of
Exactly
you.
right.
All right. Let's follow that through. You have to know one term. What does the consumer price index mean? Does anybody want to define that for me? Go ahead.
It's a market basket of goods excluding fuel and transportation, right?
No, it includes transportation. But you got the right idea. A market basket of what? Of expenses for a household. That's pretty inclusive. Now, let me give you an idea of what it counts. When I went on the internet 2 years ago and asked what the consumer index was, it started out food, medicine, transportation. I don't care where you look for research, it's going to start out with food. Are you with me so far? Okay.
No,
No?
just get on with it.
Well, you can leave if you want.
I might.
Okay. Anyway, if you have an increase, let's say, of 3% in your food cost of the consumer price index, your food goes up by how much? Because food is included in the consumer price index. So your food goes up by 3%. All right? They also have an additional fee. I'm not certain what that's for. It says plus 2% or so. That's probably for administration, possibly profit, and so forth. But anyway, you're paying 3%. Are you keeping pace with inflation? When you're paying for food, are you keeping pace with inflation? Yes. Yes, you are. If you're paying what the consumer price index is, you're keeping pace with inflation. The consumer price index does what? It measures inflation. That's what it does. And like the lady said, it's a basket of items of all expenses in the household. So therefore, each year, what happens? Those of you who have an increase each year, you're paying what? The consumer price index, which is what? The current money for food. The current money for food. So what are you paying? You are paying the current money for food. All of you who have an increase each year are paying the current money for food.
Utilities,
do you
and
want to tell me?
transportation, and housekeeping, and everything else.
Yes, you're right. all the items that are included in that index. Yes.
It has to do with the engine, with the food. You're
Wait,
right on that.
wait. Now, does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
That you're paying the consumer price index that's for food because what? Food is included in the consumer price index. All right? And it changes every year, so what you pay for food goes up every year according to what the consumer price index is. Okay. Now, therefore, bringing this to,
Is your time up?
You allotted 10 minutes. How much longer do you think you have?
about 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Okay.
I want to ask you one important question now. One important question. Is there any, if you're paying the current price for food, or for, like this lady said, for the other items, is there any reason to have an increase in the price of food above what you're paying for the going cost? Is there any reason? Those who believe that there is a reason, raise your hand. Those who don't believe a reason, there's no reason, raise your hand. I should see a sea of hands. I should see a sea of hands. One, have I missed something?
No, that's right, what you said, absolutely
You
right.
are paying the current price for food.
That's right,
What about the ones that don't have it?
that's right.
Okay, I think we need to, the conclusion is basically,
You are paying the current price for food.
How about the ones that don't have it increase every year?
Good for you. You're smarter than the rest of us.
Are they?
yeah, I think you made your point. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question. Do me one favor. One favor. I lost this book. Just one like this with all my Spanish lessons in it. If you find it, please turn it into a desk. Or to a,
He lost a book looking like that, it's got a Spanish in it, so if anybody sees a notebook,
turn it into the
turn it into one of the front desks. Next we have Leslie.
Good morning. Oh, that's bright and cheery. So I'm Leslie, Resident Services Director, and I will be informing about our implementation for our new dining and events policy at Regency Oaks. It addresses the use of canes, walkers, motorized vehicles, electric mobility vehicle, carts, our dress codes, guests, personal aids, all in our dining room and at events here at Regency. So due to our nature of Regency Oaks, we are a senior community, meaning we have varied health conditions with our residents here. And we need to be sensitive and ensure full and fair participation in all of our dining room and events that are consistent with all of our varying health issues with our residents and keeping in mind the health and well-being of everyone and regulatory obligations that we have as healthcare providers, our healthcare professionals and staff of Regency Oaks. This is why we have our dining events policy established with Life Care Services. So the purpose of the dining and events policy is to provide residents and guests with a safe and enjoyable dining experience and promote equal access to service and amenities required by the Fair Housing and the Americans with Disability Act. All Regency Oaks residents and guests have access to all venues and on-site events regardless of their mobility issues and or devices, subject to adherence to the dress code and your general health and safety, such as our fire codes. So when we talk about residents, we have different levels of care at Regency Oaks, different types of residents. So what type of resident are we referring to here in our policy? Well, it's anyone at Regency who is holding a life care contract. That means you started in marketing, you have your entry fee, you have your Regency Oaks contract, you are going through the levels of care. What type of residents it does not include are the direct admissions to the Regency Oaks assisted living or direct admission to our skilled nursing rehab. Those are our direct admit residents. They're not our life care contract residents. So we have multiple levels of care: independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, and long-term care. That means we have different residents that have different options of dining availability here on our campus. So we need to make sure we're addressing those types of care. Because with our multiple levels of care and our different dining options, it doesn't mean that in independent living that everything is staffed and operated exactly like our regulated operations of dinings in our skilled nursing and assisted living over in the health center. Our residential dining venues and events in independent living are not staffed, they're not monitored in the manner required by laws and regulations applicable to the dining and living in the assisted living at the health center or long-term care. This means that medical supervision and assistance is not available in the independent living dining, such as if you are needing to transfer in and out of your motorized mobility cart, or if you're needing assistance with obtaining your meal. We don't have that in independent living. We can't track your food intake in independent living. That's when we have our skilled nursing and assisted living. Like I said about tracking your diet, physician orders special diets, as I said, are not provided in independent living dining room, so we're not able to track your intake, monitor if you're properly eating in our dining rooms. Residents who do require that type of health status are in the assisted living and in our long-term care, but they are welcome to come to our independent living dining rooms. However, if specific medical concerns are present with respect to those individual residents, they will be addressed through our reasonable accommodation process through our level of care committee. So what's our level of care committee? That's composed of our healthcare team here at Regency Oaks that are trained professionals who are responsible for the assessment of the functional ability of residents and who are tasked with responsibility of providing guidance and support in the level of care determination. This is our wellness team at Regency Oaks. Myself, our wellness nurse, Maria. If you have innovative home services, we capture that team as well. Your home health group, your outpatient group, those nurses and therapists that are taking care of you. There's times that we're also reaching out to your physician as well for more guidance when it comes to the proper level of care for you. So that's our level of care committee. Now, I mentioned about innovative home services, so that we have personal aides here on campus at Regency to assist you with your activities of daily living, like your dressing, your grooming, your ambulating, anything like that. Personal aides are allowed in dining rooms, and this policy addresses it. So aides are personal aides to a resident, could be a family member, a volunteer, personal services provider like Innovative Home Services, and they're engaged to accommodate the resident. Any resident may have an aide accompany them in the independent living dining room to assist in transferring in and out of your chair, as well as if you're needing any meal assistance. The aides are allowed to assist the residents. Furthermore, you're allowed to have guests at Regency Oaks in our dining room. All residents are permitted to invite a reasonable number of guests to dine in our independent living, providing we have enough space permitting and equal basis with each resident for their guests. But they are required to follow our rules and regulations. So all residents and their guests must comply with rules and procedures and efforts for the regulations of the enjoyment of our dining rooms, such as they are not allowed to smoke. We are a smoke-free campus, limited cell phone use in the dining room, no loud, inappropriate, or offensive language in our dining rooms. All guests and residents are required to follow these. Also, our dress codes. Regency Oaks requests residents and their guests be dressed in a socially acceptable manner while in our independent living dining rooms. We aren't asking for a formal dress, but that you wear suitable attire for the dining room. In addition, there is an expectation that should you or your guests choose to dine in any of our dining rooms, that you are dressing accordingly to that event. Furthermore, we'll be addressing canes and walkers in our dining rooms. They are allowed if you prefer to use this aid. We just have to make sure we're following these following rules. After entering the residential dining room and you're seated, a server will come up to you and ask if we need to valet your walker if they're not able to easily access the dining room table. So if you have 4 people situated at a table and you have 4 walkers and the server is not able to easily serve, they're going to ask you, can we please valet your walker to accommodate for easy access to the dining room table. So that's what they're training our dining team, is making sure that we're asking for when it's appropriate if we're needing to valet your walker. Your cane can still be hung on the dining room table as long as it's not in the way of serving. Also, all canes and walkers need to be labeled with your first and last name and your apartment number. If you are needing assistance, come and seek me and we'll make sure that we get you a label on your walker and your cane. When it is time for you to leave the dining room, let your server know and we'll valet your walker right back to your table so you're able to leave the dining room safely with your walker or your cane. Now, also, we have our wheelchairs, our electric mobility vehicles. Some of you also have carts. This policy also addresses when it comes to transferring with assistance out of the device. So, as I explained, in independent living, we don't have that assistance. So if we have a resident who is needing assistance transferring in and out of their motorized device, then we are going to require a doctor's note showing that you do need assistance with that. If you decline to have a doctor's note, then we can have you, as well as us, will sign an informed consent if we're all agreeable, stating that you understand the risks of transferring with assistance in our independent living dining room, as it's not a regulated dining room, such as the skilled nursing and assisted living. Now, if you are requiring assistance, you are required to have a personal aide with you to perform that assistance, as our servers are not trained to transfer in and out. Residents that are transferring in and out of their cart or their motorized device without assistance, meaning they're doing it independently, we still are requiring a doctor's note, or you can sign an informed consent, and Regency will also sign the informed consent if we believe you are still safe to transfer in and out independently without assistance. Now, I will be passing out individual policies to those that have a motorized device, and meeting with those residents to see what they choose and making sure that they're safe. If a resident declines a doctor's note and declines an informed consent, you get to have a meeting with Brant and I to discuss, it's a one-on-one individual basis, to see, how can we make this a safe assistance, but making sure we're having that reasonable accommodation from the Fair Housing Act and the ADA. So to make it simple, if you have a cart and you transfer independently, come see me. You'll be either getting a doctor's note or informed consent or a one-on-one visit with Brant and I, so we can make sure that everyone understands their safety here at Regency Oaks, because it's not just about our residents, it's also about our staff. We want to make sure that they are safe if we are needing to transfer someone in and out, and that we have an aide that's assigned to that resident. Oh, also, if you have a motorized device, we will need to label it, and if you need a label, come and see me. We'll make sure that you have a label. So, I think we're having questions later on this. Do you know, or am I doing it now? I'm sorry. Okay, I think that was it. So, any questions on our dining and events policy? No, oh yay. So again, I'll be passing some of the policies out if you would like to reference it. But if you do have a motorized device, I will be putting this in your mailbox. and you'll be reading everything over, filling out the proper paperwork. If you have questions, contact me, but I'll be in touch with the ones, again, that do have a motorized device. Wait, 1 second.
How do I contact you about getting one of those labels?
How do I contact you about getting the label?
Yes, my extension is 501, or you can go to your north or south front desk and ask who and how do I get a hold of Leslie. Okay, thank you. Oh, Rosa, yes ma'am.
Can we have all those things that you've been talking about in writing?
So I will have basically a summary, a 1-page with me. If you would like to have one, we can. I can put a 1-page out in everyone's box. Does everyone want a 1-page summary? Okay, I'll put a summary. Okay, all right. You don't want the full 19 pages? That's for those one-on-one individual residents. So I'll make sure the 1-pagers go out to everyone for you to review a lovely summary of everything.
Thank you, Leslie. As we have the dining crew up here on their way up, I forgot to mention, you may have noticed Brant's not here.
Does anybody have a question?
He's at a business meeting in North Carolina, so he'll be gone the rest of the week, and he'll be back next Tuesday, and he can take over. Ready, Ricky, Johnny, Dick? You have to share the mic.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. Thank you. You don't like the smiley face? I might. Anyway, the three of us are here just to give you some updates on some upcoming things. I did have a resident the other day in the dining room ask if we could put BLTs on the menu, so that's something that Johnny's going to get with the cooks, and we'll get on that on the menu for you folks on the left-hand side. Believe it or not, we are actually having our first barbecue in 2 years because of COVID. So Monday we will have our Memorial Day barbecue. It's been a long time in the making. For those of you new folks that are here, we put a nice spread out. We're going to have barbecue ribs, we'll have hamburgers, we'll have hot dogs, we'll have chicken wings, brownies, drumsticks, which are the ice cream cones, potato salad, baked beans, you know the routine. I can go on and on and on.
And it's early.
Yes, and we have our early hours, which is our takeouts in both dining rooms are from 11 to 11:30, and then the dining rooms will be open from 11:45 to 2 o'clock. Of course, we will have complimentary beer and wine. A couple other updates is that what's that? Oh, yeah, make reservations at your hostess, please. And then also, Johnny and I and Phil or whoever else will continue to do our breezeway events and until we don't pass out in the Florida heat. But so far, so good. Thank you, folks.
Now we're going to Q&A, and Rita has a question that she wants to ask. First off,
Are you talking about the meal plan you
we're
have?
talking about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. I'm looking at this meal plan, and I'm not opposed to it, except for one area, and that's the takeout and the dine-in containers of extra food. Oh, I'm sorry, okay. And I asked Brant when this was first put out, my meal comes to me, I'm upstairs at the dining room, my meal comes to me, and I ordered whatever I'm supposed to have, and it's mine, I paid for it, and I can't eat the whole thing, so I want to take half of that home. And the answer I got was no, you can't do that. You can't bring your container in and you can't take it home. My question is, why? It's mine, I paid for it, it's what I ordered. And if they're gonna throw it away, then let me take it home and throw it away. It's mine. I don't think it's fair. And I think a lot of people here don't think it's fair. I want to take it home. It's mine. And that's what they have here. You can't take out. I'm not talking about extra. I'm not talking about that. I'm only talking about what is on my plate for me. If I decide that I don't want it, eat of the whole thing. Why should they tell me that I can't do it? And this is exactly what they're telling us. So what I did, okay, and I know that we try to do the best we can. It must be coming from corporate. I don't know where it's coming from. All I know is that we need some help here. All right, and I asked the Row Board. They represent everybody here. We voted for these people. And now what I did was I called them and I asked to meet with them and see what they can do to help us. So, Chris is the president. I asked him if I could meet, and on June 8th, I will meet with them and see if they can help us on this meal plan. It may not be etched in stone, but I want to be able to say what I want to have and what I want to do with my meal and my food. I go to a restaurant, they give me a doggy bag. See, and then with the entree, the same thing. When I go there, they tell me you have your regular meal and one entree. Anything else, they tell you, you pay for it. They let you know ahead of time. So, something like that, if there's a problem here with that, that should be revised all over to make sure that we all know what's going on. So I'm just hoping that with the meeting that I have with the Row Board, that they can do something for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rita. And as I told Rita, she is on the agenda for our next board meeting, so the whole board will be addressing her concerns.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to fix the frame there. And Chet, can you run the mic over for other questions? Oh, I could ask you. Is there any other questions this morning? Have you thought of something for Leslie or anybody? Hey. Oh, here we go. You got to? Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. I tend to agree with Rita, but, and I'm for the meal plan. My question is more of process. When are we going to receive on Regency letterhead what this meal plan is and what it includes?
We had something in our inbox, in the house mailbox.
There has been nothing on Regency Oaks letterhead. Okay, it's been a bunch of notes, and people have been gracious to do notes, but nothing is codified. And yet, there's a form on Regency Oaks letterhead to say, here's your change your meal plan. Now,
You want a logo on every page?
excuse me?
You want a logo on every page?
Well, I want a railroad piece of stationery because you're talking about a change in my contract. Okay? You can't, no, hear me out. You cannot change a contract with a form of choice because the meal plan is not even defined in the contracts. Okay? I'm really talking about process. Okay? I'm not being argumentative. Both plans in the contracts are bistro plans. That's defined. 30 or 21. The meal plan that we're talking about here is not even defined. And it's not in anyone's contract. So when you hand someone a piece of paper saying, mark your choice, you can't, it doesn't apply. It's not enforceable. So to get all the questions out of the way, I would, and I've asked this question a number of times, when are we going to see a form from Regency Oaks? And Margaret, you've done a great job taking notes, but when are we going to see it on Regency Oaks letterhead of what the single pay is?
Well, the thing is that every contract that we have, there's very few that are the same. We have 12 different contracts, as last I heard. Excuse me. We have those contracts, and you have to read your individual contract. I do not have one that says meal of the day. I've got one that says there's a $10 allowance for the bistro plan. And I've heard other people that say they had a meal a day 10 years ago. So, if you got a problem with your individual contract and the way it's worded and how it's being enforced, you have to go to Brant or whoever else to get your contract changed.
Chris.
Suppose I don't want to get my contract changed. I don't think it's my responsibility to go to anyone.
Well, if you want to stay, I don't know what your plan is, but if you want to stay on, stay on.
Well, I have a form that says it was your choice.
You have a choice.
Yeah.
And one of the choices is not to do
My
anything.
plan is going to go away.
No?
No. If I'm on a 30-day plan in my contract, that's going to go away.
That's the meal of the day.
Andrea?
I think what happened was,
I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding, because in the discussion about staying on the bistro plan as part of this, it referenced the 21-day plan. I had the same question, I asked a bunch of questions. The 30-day bistro is not going away. That was, the 21-day was being used as an example. So it wasn't very clear, but it's there.
Any other questions? You want to take it?
It's my impression that management here is by contract. A number of us have different contracts. There's not one set of principles or guidance that runs the operation here. It's all by individual contract. When you signed the contract, there were certain things that were specified. It seems to me that if there's a major change, we can get a revised statement by management telling us what that change is. He then becomes responsible. Right now, he's not responsible unless he puts a signature on it. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
You ready to wrap up?
Well, I guess that's it.
Does everybody like that plan? Meal plan?
Well, we'll find out when all the chicks are in, so.
I hope so.
Well, thank you for coming, and Brant will be back next week.